What if one of the greatest man-made structures on Earth wasn't built to keep invaders out, but to keep something in? For centuries, the Great Wall of China has stood as an unblinking sentinel, a 13,000-mile stone dragon winding across mountains and deserts. We know the history: construction, defense, empire. But deep within the folklore of its remote, crumbling sections, a darker, more ancient purpose is whispered. This is the story of Elias Vance, a seasoned American hiker who sought solitude on a forgotten stretch of the wall and instead found himself face to face with the true, terrifying meaning of its stone battlements. This isn't just a simple ghost story. This is the account of what Elias truly saw on the night of October 23rd near the desolate Huanghuacheng section, a phenomenon so cold, so alien, it challenged everything he believed about history and reality.
Elias Vance was obsessed with authenticity. He bypassed the tourist traps, opting instead for the rugged, unrestored ruins where the stone was reclaimed by nature. He carried a heavy pack, a quality camera, and enough provisions for a week of solo trekking and camping. His goal was simple: to capture the raw, untainted grandeur far from any human soul. On his third day, Elias found his perfect spot: a collapsed watchtower perched precariously on a ridge overlooking a vast, empty valley. The silence was absolute, broken only by the wind whistling through the gaps. As the sun dipped below the mountains, painting the sky in fiery oranges, Elias set up his small tent inside the ruins. He felt a sense of profound peace. This feeling lasted exactly until the moment the natural light completely vanished. Darkness in the mountains is different. It's a physical presence, heavy, oppressive. He zipped up his tent, the air immediately turning noticeably colder. He lay back, listening to the silence. When he noticed it, the sound of absolute stillness. Even the wind seemed to have died.
Then the first sign, a flicker of movement. Elias wasn't asleep. He was in that twilight state. Suddenly, he felt an overwhelming compulsion to look outside. He unzipped the tent window flap and peered out into the black night. He saw nothing initially, just the massive, dark silhouette of the wall's parapet towering maybe 20 feet from his tent. He rationalized, maybe a mountain goat. But the movement repeated. It was on the wall itself, just barely visible against the faint starlight. A shadow, darker than the night surrounding it. Elias sat up, his heart beginning to beat a heavy, uneven rhythm. The shape was unnervingly tall, thin, and moved with a fluid yet mechanized grace. It lacked any discernible features. No head, no limbs in the way a human has them, just an elongated, utterly featureless mass of pure shadow. It simply glided along the top of the wall's crenellations. The sheer non-humanity of the movement was paralyzing. This wasn't a bear or a person. It defied natural laws.
Then the true horror began. The single figure was joined by others. They emerged from the darkness near the preceding watchtower. And soon, a line of them began moving eastward along the wall toward Elias's position. They were numerous, maybe a dozen or more, maintaining a perfectly spaced, silent procession. They moved at an unhurried, relentless pace. This wasn't a random sighting. This was a patrol. Elias felt a cold wave of terror wash over him, a primal fear that bypasses logic. He fumbled for his camera, but his hands were shaking violently.
He couldn't capture anything meaningful, just deep, indistinguishable black shapes. He realized he was camping right in the middle of their route. He remembered a local folktale, a legend of the wall not being guarded by the spirits of soldiers, but by the Yin Shou, shadow beasts, ancient, monstrous entities trapped in the stones when the structure was built, forever destined to patrol its length. The leading figure was now less than 30 feet from his tower. Elias could hear no footsteps, no scraping of stone, only that crushing, absolute silence. He pulled the sleeping bag over his head, curling into a ball, convinced his last moments would be spent hearing the sound of that cold, dense shadow passing inches from his thin nylon shelter. Elias didn't know how long he stayed like that, a huddled, shaking mess. He must have blacked out from the psychological strain. He woke suddenly to the sound of wind. Sunlight was streaming into the tent flap, warm and real. He bolted upright, scrambling out of the tent and racing to the parapet edge. The wall stretched eastward, just stone and brick, silent and utterly empty. He searched the ground, looking for scuff marks. Nothing. It felt like a bad dream. But then he saw it. On a smooth stone tablet embedded in the floor of the watchtower, there was a deeply carved inscription in traditional Chinese script. It was old, weathered, and deeply meaningful. Elias took a photo, and later, when he found a translator back in Beijing, he learned what it said. He who watches the shadow walkers watches himself. The wall holds the line. Do not disturb the night's work. It was not a warning from the government. It was a cryptic testament left by someone who had seen the patrol before him. The wall wasn't keeping the Mongols out. It was serving as the boundary line for something older, something non-human, something that still walked its vast, endless perimeter every single night. Elias packed up in record time, abandoning his goal. He carried the image of the carved stone and the terrifying vision of those silent, gliding shadows back home.
Elias Vance's story has been analyzed by folklore experts, historians, and skeptics. His account is consistent: absolute silence, non-human geometry, and organized ritualistic movement. Skeptics argue it was sleep paralysis or a trick of the moonlight, but Elias insists that his fear was too real, the vision too consistent, and the inscription too timely to be a mere hallucination. If the wall was truly built to contain these shadow figures, what happens when one of its remote sections finally collapses? What happens if that nightly patrol is ever interrupted? The Great Wall remains, silent and immense, still patrolled by whatever entities claim the night. Did Elias Vance see the remnants of ancient Chinese mythology brought to life? Or did he simply witness the true, chilling nature of one of the world's most enduring monuments? We can't be sure. But the next time you see a picture of that magnificent winding stone structure, ask yourself what it really guards and what price was paid for that endless, silent watch.